Alice at 97.3's Sarah and
Alice
Vinny.
at 97.3. Sarah and Vinny, Alice's morning show. Holy cow. Steve Perry just walked into
Oh,
the
boy.
studio.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness.
How are you?
It is an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Oh, my pleasure. How you doing?
How's traffic out
Well,
there?
we were stuck in traffic on the bridge because there was a bad accident, so we would have been here a little more on time. We got it just hi, and you are
Marcus.
pleasure.
Marcus Osborne, that's Bryn over there. Did you get the pleasure of meeting Lumen? Oh, fantastic.
So how's everything at Alice?
Oh, everything's fabulous here. How's everything at Steve Perry?
Well, very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's everything?
How's everything at
God looks amazing.
You do. You
Smells good.
You do. That's like a
Well,
black head toe. You look at
I got to do my Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
I got to get every bit I can get. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited about the new music and talking to people like yourselves and just, going through radio.
Has it just been a crazy whirlwind? Like, I mean, out of the blue 2 weeks ago, we get asked, would you guys be interested in talking to Steve Perry? And after I picked myself up off the floor,
Oh, you're sweet.
I was, the answer was yes. And then we get to hear a new song, and there's your voice. There it is. I'm waiting for it. There it is. So has the response been just, like, our response was insanity.
Well, it's been overwhelmingly beautiful, really, to be honest with you. I mean, I had no idea that it would be like this. I really didn't.
Really?
I really didn't, because when I left the group like over 31 years ago, I kind of walked, and just was burnt out, and walked with no looking back. And I think the ability to keep walking came with don't look back. I had to keep walking forward into my life. Back to my hometown, and
Back to your roots.
back to my roots, and just hanging out with family members and stuff like that. So the response to the new music has just been really wonderful.
You say you were burnt out. What was the source of that burnt out?
Well, I mean, when you tour with a band like Journey for years, the rooting was pretty intense. I mean, I don't know anybody that tours like that anymore.
How many shows a year?
We would do, all I know is it's like 4 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, 4 on, 1 off, and that day off was always a travel day. So
There's no days off.
There's no day off.
Right.
So you get in late that night with hopefully no flight delays, or sometimes with buses. So toasty, I think, is the word.
Right.
Crispy.
And that went on for years. I mean, that was
years.
solid. But when you walk away, I mean, honestly, it's one thing to walk away. It's another thing to be gone for over 20 years. Like, it's really, I mean, that is a solid break from it. I really thought in my lifetime I would never get to sit down across with Steve Perry talking about new
Honey,
music.
I never thought I'd sit and get a chance to talk to you again, because it's true. Because I did walk away with the conviction that, I already lived the dream of dreams, and my love and my passion for music that I found when I was really young, like the age of 5 and 6, when my parents were about to split up. I started living in these 45 RPM records. I mean, I listened to this R&B music that just moved me, and the echoes, and the songwriting, and the voices, and the pockets of these drummers. I just moved into that sonic landscape, and I think it became my refuge. And how it touched me, how it changed my life, I kept with me and brought that into the band journey. And at some point towards the end of it, as you were asking, I lost that. I really lost my passion for it. I got really worried about it because I wasn't emotionally connecting to my love for music. So that scared the holy crap out of me, to be honest with you.
Did it become a job? Because that, to me, when
It sure
you
could
do
have been,
something for so long, something that you love, but now you have to do it, and it's the same thing every night, and it's 200 nights a year or more. I would think that kind of grind would suck the joy out of the actual singing experience.
Yeah, and I think it became a little bit painting by numbers. I think, I think that's true. And worse than that was I found an emotional disconnect from my own foundation that I pulled from to sing from.
Right.
And it started to make me, along with being what we used to call road burn, by the way. Road burn was when you're on the road so much, you're kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
Along with road burn and some party behaviors,
I was going to say, and also with the rock band thing is that you burn it at both ends. I mean,
This
these
was the
travel
80s,
days
honey. It
are
was the
right.
80s,
Oh my
okay?
God.
And, so,
And you're a vocalist, like you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
I did. And so I certainly behaved myself before a show, never misbehaved during, but after the show, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Actually,
because-
it takes some real wherewithal to even wait until after the show.
but it catches up to everyone. You can't do that along with just the pace of the whole tour.
Was the primary source of income for bands back then? That was the touring, right?
There was well back then there was a thing called the record business.
Ah, so you'd actually have
You know,
to.
you
Yeah.
had Tower Records over here on Bay Street. You had Warehouse Records. You had Sears, and you had back then these new stores were showing up called Kmart. Brand new shows, and they came Target. That was a brand new thing. You know. But they were all racking and selling physical records and CDs, which came later. So that, along with touring, was the income. Yeah. And then, as of now, as you probably know, touring probably is basically it now.
Touring and probably some merchandise.
That's it.
Because the record industry, I mean, since you went away, it's just changed.
We were just talking about how easily access every single thing is. Like collections don't matter the way they used to do.
Right.
You know, when you have the record and you call your friend, you come over and listen to the new record.
Well,
Now it's I've got every record you name one. I'll get it.
but
for
I
you.
purposely did an album cover that is very intricate and very always holding
And
up.
we stared at that for 20 minutes.
We spent a lot of time with this show.
Yeah, but with the color version, of course. It's
Yeah,
not.
there's actually the backside. You're missing the other.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And it continues to. I worked with a great artist named Jeff Block and put everything that mattered to me into this. My life almost is in this entire cover. It's just traces of my past.
And that's the name of the record.
Yeah, traces. And if you look really close, on the marquee in the far distance of that theater, my dad used to perform at the Hanford Theater where I was born and raised in Hanford,
That
California.
was that theater.
Yeah, right there. And if you get it, you can zoom in on it when you actually get the cover.
Yeah, pull the, here, hold on.
Yeah.
We've got it in color here
There
now.
it
We're
is.
looking
so
at
pull
it.
to the right.
So go to the right.
Go to the right.
Keep going, keep going. Oh, that's, how is that
There you
possible?
go. You go to the right. More to the right.
Weirdly, it's only giving us a quarter of the thing. Oh, and it's got a little bit of the back on
Yeah,
it.
well, the theater's to the right, and on the marquee it says, appearing Ray Perry's son.
Oh,
And my dad was Ray Perry, so
funny.
he used to sing there. So there's just a lot of stuff on it, but
Yeah, I have a question. What's the lady in the fishnet? Like, where's that in your life?
she's
I want to
sexy
hear about
for what
this.
she is.
Oh, you just like a
She's
sexy
just
girl.
A sexy girl.
A nameless girl, you're not
She's
going to
got her
tell me.
legs in the air and enjoying the music.
Like, she just don't care.
A rock star, so that's got to be in there somewhere.
Right.
She looks fantastic. And she's really happy about the floating photograph she
Sure.
listens to behind her.
Right.
But if you look close, there's a microphone to the left of that, which is my M49. I'm saying,
Oh, look at that.
okay. There's just a lot of stuff.
What about the dog in
the dog is Marlo. That was Kelly and that was our dog.
So how much of what you're doing right now is because Kelly said, do not go back into isolation?
Probably about 90%.
You think that maybe if she hadn't been adamant that you might have?
Well, yeah. I mean, she was very clear that facing stage 4 cancer, at nights we would talk, and it was my favorite time just to be laying there in the dark, and either I'd talk her to sleep or she'd talk me to sleep. You know, it was just a great moments of honest conversation. One night she said, "I need to ask you a favor." I said, "What's that?" She said, "Would you make a promise?" Well, we'd had a lot of serious conversations. And I thought, well, here it comes, And she said, I need you to make a promise that if something was to ever happen, that you wouldn't go back into isolation. For I feel it would make this all for naught. Now, she said this all for naught, and I'm sitting there, I'm laying there in bed, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, she's looking at the whole arc of us meeting each other, being together, and the possibility of us not being together. And she's seeing some purpose. There's got to be some purpose if that was to come to fruition, So I made the promise. And after I lost her, 12, 14, and 12, a couple of years went by, and I was in the grieving process for quite some time, which, if you're alive, we all have loss. but that one particularly, for me personally, I was at home with her. I just felt finally at home with somebody. And I'd been looking for a home for a long time. And so, a couple years after I lost her, I just started pulling out some of my hard drives and my rough sketches because I had been sketching music before I met her of ideas.
You did sketching. You had like melody ideas or poems or
Exactly.
Okay.
I have a laptop. I have Pro Tools. I have a rig that I can sketch ideas with.
come right into it, or
Oh, I
you
can
play a little
sing.
guitar or
Oh, yeah.
piano.
I got loops going. I got keyboards going. I got vocals going. I got harmonies going. I'm building tracks. And a lot of these tracks you hear on the Traces record came from those demo sketches. And I just added musicians. Some of them kept the demo vocals because they felt.
Really?
Well, yeah, because when you're writing music, there's something about the moment it shows up, the moment it starts to identify itself. And by the way, I had not felt this passion for music until I started doing this again because I had lost this. So this was a big homecoming for me because if it didn't come back, I was going to have to be okay with that because I already had lived the dreams of dreams with Journey. I really had. But if it comes back, it would be an amazing thing. And it started to come back. So the passion for it and the songwriting started to return. And when you're in the moment that an idea starts to show up, there is something definitive about that first stroke of paint on that piece of blank canvas is very important. Because I can sing something, just off the top of my head, and it just feels right because it's never been defined before or worked or repunched or resung, or it just feels natural. So there was a bunch of moments like that, quite a few that I kept, thanks God, because I had Pro Tools.
Right.
And I just started using those moments and overdubbing background vocals. And real drummers, Vinny Caludo.
And I'm going to talk about some of the poems. We're talking with Steve Perry. Unbelievable. We're talking with Steve Perry. Words I never thought that I would say. It's so great to have you in here. As I was looking through some of the stuff, I see that Rocky Manny is on here. I'm like a huge Jellyfish fan. I saw his name. I've sort of been kind of following him. How much is he on, and are you guys friends?
Yeah, we're friends. He's all over the record. He's on a song especially called Most of All. He did a beautiful job on that. He's on the whole record in a lot of different places. He's so talented. He shows up with a complete rack of digital and analog gear. So when you're sitting there, you're not just locking up to Pro Tools and putting anything in sync or nothing.
Right.
He's actually performing, as I did with the drums and everything. So he fit right into the musical direction that I wanted to follow, which was people overdubbing their hearts on this record with their talent.
Right.
Not just making
Not looping
not
necessarily.
electronic music
Right.
and all that.
Quantizing everything.
Exactly. I don't want to do that.
Right.
So that's why it took a little longer because we're talking about people pouring their hearts out.
Real musicians.
Yeah, musicians.
But how
Yeah, musicians.
But how nice it must have been to have that kind of time. Like you weren't under a deadline. There isn't a record company breathing down your
I
neck.
built a
and you really
studio.
could- Yeah, is that your home?
Yeah, I built a really full-fledged studio.
How
in my house.
amazing. Is that where you shot the video? Where's the video shot? For
which
Noah
video?
Racing.
No, Noah Racing was shot actually in a rehearsal.
Okay.
Um,
Because it's huge. I wondered,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that is personal
No.
space. How amazing.
The studio is more the size of Motown, to be honest with you. It's, the tracking room is about the size of Motown's tracking room.
Which is about how big? I don't know.
It's probably the size of a car and a half width, because it was Motown was actually a garage. Yeah, and then they closed it off.
So that's how wide it is.
That's how wide it is, and they built a control room.
So it's small, but
Yeah.
these days with the,
Oh my
you
God,
just need
that's
so
plenty.
much less equipment.
Funny, all the drums were in there.
So Traces is coming out on October 5th. And then, the road was the end for you last time.
Yeah.
Do you plan to tour? Are you going to try and keep it small? You get to dictate the stuff
Well,
the way a lot of people never get to.
well, isn't that something?
It's great.
Yeah, we're talking about that now.
Okay.
But right now we're just talking about there's so much music on this record. I just want people to, if you go to steveperry.com, you'll see a statement. Oh, by the way, I'm a social media kind of mofo now.
Good man. Good man.
Okay, I'm all up in there.
Awesome.
He's sticking the landing.
Perry.com. Okay. So if you go to steveperry.com, it's 3 times. You see how-
Good man. You've been coached well.
Yeah, thank you. You'll see the statement that where I've been, what happened, and what's going on, you know. And the record's there, and the cover's there, and just my life is in this whole thing. And there's so much music to come from this record that all I really want people to do from my heart is just listen to it. And whatever makes you feel, I'm okay with that. And if you think, well, yeah, it's okay, that's it, I'm okay with that. But if it makes you feel something, I'm really okay with that too.
Right. Just want to share it again.
I just want to touch people emotionally with music again because I just didn't think the passion of songwriting would come back. And the good news, it's come back. The bad news is I got a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, you've got time. I mean, without traces, then we'll start work on the next album.
Yes, it's already started.
Just as I hate this is totally self-indulgent, but I love you. I love singing. You've been like a singing idol for me. I'm wondering if you can just quickly tell me, like, what is like a pre-show warm-up? Like, would you just go in cold to a studio and let it warm up on its own?
There were times, certain songs in the morning, I just like the way my voice sounds in the morning sometimes.
A little scratchy.
A little scratchy,
right?
yeah. And not so clean. And plus, I can see it's got some miles on my voice. So that can work for me.
Hitting some notes.
Yeah, those notes, left some miles.
Yeah.
But, you know, it kind of adds a little texture to it.
Right.
And so sometimes in the morning, the texture would be more prevalent. I would like singing in the morning. But there wouldn't be a lot of warm-ups.
You don't have like, some people will run arpeggios or beats,
No, but I'm starting to do that now because it's a more demanding kind of vocal requirements that I'm starting to get into, which I'll talk about.
Oh, what's your favorite song to perform? Not your favorite song necessarily, but your favorite song to just sing live.
Back in the day, because I haven't done performance. Last time I performed was a solo tour years ago. Gosh.
Was there one that like was on the list though that you thought, oh, I can't
You know
wait,
Yeah.
what my
can't wait
favorite
for that
one,
one.
the one that comes to mind right now was when I performed with the Eels.
Which was sort of like out of the blue. Well, all of a sudden we started seeing Steve Perry's name again.
Well,
He's on stage with the Eels.
It's Fitzpatrick Theater in St. Paul, Minneapolis, St. Paul. That was a thrill to be with those guys. And, they had always been rehearsing, and I love the Eels. I love E. And they'd always say, well, we're going on another tour. Come on to rehearsal. I come to rehearsal. Well, is this the year you're going to sing? No, maybe next year. So they have it quite a few years in a row. So one year they said, so you're going to sing this time? I went, okay, what do you want? So we started working up a couple of things, but I always loved his song. It's a MF. Yeah, I won't say it on here.
Oh.
Probably can't play it on the air either.
You can't play it.
I got a song.
But it's a beautiful
So
song.
not even one of your songs.
Well, we did some Journey stuff after that. But I did his. And then I did, to answer your question, one of my favorite songs was, I think I did Only 16 by Sam Cooke a cappella
That is great.
by myself. And I always wanted to just sing it with no music out into the room and then go into open.
Sam, one of your influences?
Oh, man. I was in Pismo Beach when I was with my mother in her car, a little Thunderbird she had, and I remember Cupid came on the radio. I must have been 9 or 10 years old.
Oh.
And my whole world became a tunnel vision to that 6x9 speaker on the dash of her car. I couldn't see or hear anything except him singing that song.
How old do you think you were?
I think I was 9 or 10. I can't remember. I was really young. Yeah, touched me.
So congratulations on all the, even though the ball is just beginning to roll,
Yeah.
thanks for coming back, and
having me.
I can't wait to see you live. I can't wait to talk to you again. I'm so happy that you're here. Traces is out on October 5th.
Yes.
Do we have Noah Racing?
We sure do.
I just want to thank you so much. I know it was a pain getting in here and coming down on the
Sorry we were
highway.
late,
No
but,
worries,
yeah.
Steve. Oh my God, sharp at 11, I would still be here waiting for you.
We were prepared to stay here all
Yeah.
night.
Well, let's stay here all night.
We'll hold on.
Let's
We got a lot to
together.
talk about.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you
It's
so
been
much.
wonderful. Please, anything, you're a hometown guy.
Can I come anytime? Because I
Anytime
come
you
up for
want.
Giant games, you know that.
I know, you're a
Okay,
huge
so when I
Giant
come
fan.
up, I'm coming by because you're right down the street.
Oh,
Done.
anytime. You
Well,
can sit in,
you said that.
you
I
can
will.
do the news. You can just sit in and comment. You
I'll
can,
do the news.
oh my
By the
God,
way, I wanted to be a
anytime.
DJ when I was a kid.
I wanted to be a rock star. Steve Perry, thank you so much. We're gonna play Noah started at the beginning.
Yeah, that's
Off Traces, which is out on October 5th, and I'm actually looking forward to. There's another one. You have another single on the way.
Yes, No More Crying.
All right, so we'll be looking for that. It's just an absolute pleasure to meet Steve Perry.
Thank you.
yeah, baby.
Thank you so much.
Sarah and Vinny. Sarah and